Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for coming back. My name is Jim, and today I'd like to discuss with you something pretty darn special that I've been excited about for quite a while. This is going to be the Shadow Systems CR920XP. Now, there's a whole bunch of letters and numbers there, and don't worry, I will decipher those for you in a little bit, on the off chance that you haven't already watched 37 other videos about this pistol already. Now, I have gone on record here on my channel as saying that I firmly believe that the best carry pistol in the world is the Shadow Systems MR920. In particular, the one that I have with the Radian Ramjet and Afterburner Compensator on there. And I still stand by that. I don't see how you could find something that could be any better of a performer in its size category, that's for sure. But I'm expecting this to dethrone that as my favorite carry pistol, because it's going to do a lot of the same things, just in a slimmer, lighter weight, and easier to carry package. Now, speaking of packages, let's go ahead and get this package open and do a very quick sped up unboxing, and then get straight into the review.
It's time to reload, shoot off and unload, let it rip by the caseload. I've got an obsession, and it has constant progression, getting stronger and stronger with each passing day. To protect, not just another object. Trinkets come and go.
I'm here to say, too many designs today are less than a step away from the inspiration. A slight change here, a small tweak there, no time left on the clock. In the end, all those brands did was just build another Glock. We asked for more, but nobody answered the call. They just kept feeding us the same old shit. No texture, no optics, shitty trigger, and still that clock ticks. Ticking away, no time left to relay, while the time's slipping away. Then along comes a man, a small team in the plan, making mods for the classic. Then biding the time to work some magic. It's time to make their own name in this arena of plastic. With proper form and grip, with your forward thumbs, you feel the textures, the ledges, the quality of these guns. They seem familiar, but so much better. Welcome to the Shadow Systems. Talking about the Shadow Systems, creating modern legends. It needs to be fast, it needs to be smooth, it needs to be tough. Not another expensive gun to hide in the safe. The Texas made and founded by veterans. They all carry Glocks but wanted to make better ones. Mission success, standing above the rest. So if you want the best, put one to the test and rack up a high round count full of thrills. Scoop draw this bitch and do some build drills. With proper form.
Now let's get settled in and get everything we need. Okay, that's super important. Yeah, that's another important comparison. There's another comparison, but that one you haven't seen a full video on my channel just yet. Okay, there's another familiar one. We're almost there, I promise. Okay, now we're ready finally to get this video underway. Now, I want to be very clear with you, this is a desk pop video, and I call them that because the desk pop videos are simply desktop or tabletop reviews. There are going to be several videos that are going to give information here on this gun. There will be a full review coming where I'll do some tabletop stuff like I'm doing here, and then we're going to go to the range and we're going to watch it perform there, and we're going to come back and assess how the performance went. And also, I plan on doing some comparisons between the CR920XP and pretty much everything sitting here on this table, because I think there are going to be a lot of people that are trying to decide between a lot of different guns, and this one seems to make the list for pretty much everybody. Whether you can afford it or you can't afford it, or you can afford it but you're not sure that you can justify the expense, I'm going to try to cover every avenue that you're going to be coming at this gun from. So let's start things off with just talking about this gun. So I'm going to lower this just a little bit, and we are going to focus primarily on the CR920XP and all the things that so far I see that I like about it. Now, the interesting thing, or what makes this video unique from my others, is that this desk pop really is a first impressions video. I just got this gun. I have not shot it. I haven't done anything with it except for set it up with the optic, and that's it. So I've had a chance to play with it, dry fire, stuff like that, and compare it to some of the other guns that I have. But as far as going out and having the real world experience, it hasn't happened yet. So stay tuned for the next video, because we're going to do all of this together. We're going to go to the range, we're going to play with it, we're going to see how accurate it is, we're going to see how fast it is, we're going to see if the comp is doing its job. Because as you see, I do have experience with comped and ported guns, and this isn't nearly all of them. Most of everything that I have is either compensated or ported or both. And that's just my personal preference. Not everybody wants that. I was going to say needs, but nobody actually needs a compensated or ported gun. All it's doing is it's adding a convenience feature to your gun. It's like you don't need to have an optic. It's simply an aid to make your target acquisition a little bit faster, perhaps will make you a little more accurate. But using the iron sights, just like we did in the old days, is all you need to do. And speaking of which, the CR920XP comes with absolutely amazing iron sights. That's something that Shadow Systems is very consistent with. They do a really, really good job. And it's not just the fact that you've got this crazy bright neon green ring with the tritium inside and the blacked out rear, but it's also the angle that the rear sight is set at. It draws your eyes immediately up to that green dot right in front of you. It tells your eyes where to expect that dot to be. It tells your eyes where to go. And I really, really like that setup. This might be one of my absolute favorite stock pistol iron sight setups from any manufacturer. So, okay, let's kind of back up just a little bit. I am a Shadow Systems fan. There's no doubt about it. Earlier this year, I told you, as I said in the beginning of this video, that I said that the MR920 has been my top favorite carry gun for the last few years. I got mine in 2020, and I have carried it as my most carried EDC gun ever since then. So it's been 4 years, going on 5 years. And I truly, absolutely love that damn thing, especially now that I have added the Radian ramjet and afterburner. So I've got their match grade barrel with their compensator. Now, I never had a complaint about how this gun shot stock. It was wonderful. But every little bit that you can do to make it better is a good thing, as long as you're not sacrificing reliability. And with this, even with the stock recoil spring, no change in reliability whatsoever. But then something changed just a little bit. You guys might have seen the review I did on my Archon Type B Gen 2. That was one, at the time, I hadn't been carrying all that often. And then after I did the video, I said, you know what? I said, I should go back to carrying this a little bit more often and see if I like it again. Because that is my favorite gun to shoot of all my carry type guns. And I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. And that is, to me, the holy grail of striker fired polymer 9mm. However, it is a bit laborious if you carry. It's not particularly skinny in the waistband, and it's heavy. The all-steel internals, plus I'm doing the whole sidecar thing where I'm carrying it along with a spare mag, so I've got that gun loaded with 33 rounds of 9mm inside my waistband. It's not the easiest thing to carry every single day. And all along, I've also owned, and yes, reviewed, you can go watch it, the standard original CR920, which I still think is the perfect micro compact. It's got the same benefits as the MR920, but being a slimline Glock 43 style pistol. But once the CR920X was announced with its longer grip and the 15-round capacity, my mind kept wandering over to that. Sure, it was only 2 more rounds, but the difference was, upon a reload, when I dropped my 13-round mag out of the CR920, now my grip, instead of sitting right here where it needs to be, is sitting up here. So I've got all this open area. Now the gun's a little bit top heavy in my grip. And you're going to insert the mag, and you've got a pinch point right here. Now, it really wasn't a big deal. It was such a wonderful pistol to carry that I really overlooked it and went, it's not that big of a deal. But then they announced the CR920X. And it had the true Glock 43 X comparison, where it had the much longer grip with the shorter compact slide. I went, oh man, that is super tempting. But I didn't jump because I had a little bit of an emotional attachment to my particular CR920 that I'm not going to bother to get into, but it was special to me for more than just being a cool pistol. And then this past SHOT Show, Trevor comes out and announces, oh, hey, yeah, we're gonna make this awesome, super cool gun, and we're going to add a comp to it. And not just any comp, but a comp that's going to be legal in all 50 states because it doesn't use a threaded barrel, and it's going to be a super effective single-port mini-comp. Well, hell. You have my attention, sir. The only thing that I really like about this is the fact that this was designed specifically all to go together. Note the length of the dust cover. The frame goes all the way to the end of the muzzle, the end of the compensator, making it a truly integral comp. It's not just any old comp. And we all know that that's sexy and will get you laid. Or high-fived by a random dude on the range. Most likely the latter, but whatever. You know, you thought your heavily modified car was going to get you laid, but all it did was make you have lots of long, chatty conversations with random dudes at gas stations. And we all know that's true. So carrying over the essential features that make Shadow Systems the best, in my opinion, into this superior feel and profile makes this a contender for the perfect carry gun. First off, as with all Shadow Systems, you get no Glock knuckle because their undercut is one of the nicest you will ever feel. It's really, really smooth and clean and done very, very, very well. The damn near perfect frame stippling. No matter where you touch this gun, it feels amazing. Your skin locks into it when you clamp down. And it's only lightly abrasive when you're carrying it. You've got to have super sensitive skin for it to irritate your skin during carry. Normal, everyday people aren't going to have an issue. It just locks you in. It's so magnificently done. Then you have this little kicked out section here at the base of the grip, at the opening of the magwell, and that gives your pinky control back to you. Whereas, let's say something else in a compact, let's take this. I don't have that. My pinky can slide off. Now, the magazines that I'm using on here are taking care of that issue for me, so it's not that big of a deal. And I will discuss what this gun is later, because I know you're looking at it and it looks rather alien to you and you're trying to figure out what the hell it is. I will discuss it later, but this is not the focus of this video. So, one thing that I've always had an issue with Glock 19s is that, imagining that this magwell from Shadow Systems wasn't on there, that it was just an odd size. My finger was right at the very edge, and I had to cram my fingers up in there, but they wouldn't stay crammed under fire, and it always just felt a little bit too short and chubby. Then when I got into the Glock 43X, I had bought the MOS when it first came out. Oh my God, I fell in love with it. Now this takes it a step further, because now you've got that additional muzzle lift control, because your pinky has something to really push into, to push that into the palm of your hand. So now you have more control over the gun, whether using two hands or firing one hand. That little thing right there gives your pinky the control that you so desperately need on a smaller, snappier little gun. The bobbed slide that you see on all of the Shadow Systems, and that eliminates a big corner that would normally print. And they're very thoughtful about how you're going to be carrying your gun and how you're going to print and how they can prevent you from printing. That bobbed slide is one big deal. Another is they bring out the tang into pretty much a beaver tail. It's got nice coverage, but then they whack off the corners, because the corners will also print. They'll catch your garment, they'll catch your shirt, and you'll see a little corner there. Not so the case with the Shadow Systems. I love that they think of absolutely everything. Yep, the little ledges here, so I've got a little bit of a thumb rest, and they're nice and grippy. Their serrations are done extremely well. They're oversprung guns by nature, all of them. So if you had really shitty serrations, your fingers would be sliding back, and you'd be tearing up your thumbs and stuff on the edges of the ejection port and all that. Instead, you've got a nice place to grab. Now, the trigger still isn't great if you're a trigger snob, but that goes away in live fire. It also, by the way, goes away as the gun breaks in. Now, you're really only going to notice stuff like this in dry fire, when you're being super picky with a gun, when you're looking at it in the display case, when they're ringing you up for it and you're waiting to pay and you're sitting there at the counter and you're playing with your new toy and you're sitting there going, let's see how good the trigger is. And you're like, oh man, I don't know about that. Let me just get this magazine out of here. Let me go ahead and show you close up what that actually looks like. So there is your quote-unquote wall. Creep, creep, creep. A little bit of stacking. But it was smooth. It's not gritty. Now my CR920 Had probably one of the worst striker fire triggers I ever had in my life. So I put an Overwatch precision trigger into it, and it changed it almost not at all. It was really super disappointing. I put the exact same Overwatch precision trigger in the MR920, and it made it a little bit better. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. Definitely improved the reset. But here's the thing. When I'm shooting this gun, not this gun, I haven't shot this one. When I'm shooting a Shadow Systems, that little bit of extra movement in the trigger, that little bit of mush as you're pushing through the rolling brake, it's not a big deal. I thought it was going to be a big deal, but it's not. In live fire, I have no complaints. They're not slowing me down or causing me to pull shots, so I don't care that they're not glass rod snapping brakes. You know what? I'll be picky with my 2011s and stuff like that. That's where you need to be picky. The only bummer about the CR920XP is that you don't have the option for the magwell like you do on the MR, the DR, the XR. I think it's a wonderful addition. They could have made a very slim, low-profile magwell that would still be good for carry, but it's not a huge deal. Now, a lot of people gripe when they hear proprietary magazines. You don't have to be unhappy in this case because these are all steel that are nickel Teflon coated, so they're super slick and corrosion resistant. They're 15 rounds. Trevor just announced on their YouTube channel they've added a new +3 extension with a new heavier spring. You could still put the little fingertip pinky extension from the original CR920. You could still put it on this mag. All that still works. And they're super cheap on their website. Guys, we're talking a few dollars more than a stock Glock magazine price. You can't beat that. You really, really can't. Now, once again, we have to stop and placate the money-minded morons who think anything more than the price of a high point is highway robbery. Go out, buy a Glock 43X, and then do a nice stipple job on it. Now, go add some nice slide cuts to it. Now you're at the exact same price as this gun, just with stippling and a few slide cuts. Or stippling and a really good trigger. Or stippling and non-plastic sights. You still haven't taken care of the other 10 things that this gun gives you that a Glock does not. And yeah, man, I'm going to go right back to it. The optics cut is amazing because they are set out of the box to accept pretty much every red dot in existence without the use of plates. Direct mount for pretty much everything. Now, me being me, I'm not happy with that. I wanted to use, because I have the full-size version of this red dot on my Archon, and I've fallen in love with it. I really do love it. So I said, hey, you know what? This is going to be another gun I'm going to carry a hell of a lot. So I want the smaller version. So I got the Meprolite MPO Pro S. And that attaches with, unfortunately, that Acro P2 style mounting. So you have to use the plate that comes with this sight and put it on the slide. So yeah, now you could see a little plate going on there, but it's not a big deal. You may recall when I did my Archon video and I was putting that sight on there, I had a huge issue with it. Didn't have that same issue with the Shadow Systems. It dropped right in, it locked in. I've got there the little polymer spacer that Shadow provides with all of their guns so that you have no possibility of that sight moving and then snapping your hardware. It's locked into place, and then the hardware just dropped straight in, and it was super easy to do. I was very, 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 very happy with that. Took me all of, 10 minutes to put this on the slide. It was really, really great. Now factor in the fact that Shadow Systems is 100% American made with American labor. It's a veteran owned and employed company, and they manufacture every single solitary component themselves, even down to their screws and their springs. They even do their own coatings in-house in Plano, Texas. I've walked the floor of their facility, and it's wild, man. You're supporting American families. That's always a good thing. Now on to, this isn't a gun for dummies. Stop being stupid and read the manual if you're having issues. I've seen too many so-called reviews where people are having a hard time with reliability for the first several mags. Well, it's already well established that all Shadow Systems are built to tighter tolerances than a typical polymer combat pistol. They're made for performance. They're made for carry and duty, accuracy and performance, not to be taken straight from the box and dropped into a mud pit to then be shot. They're a lot more refined than a standard Glock. You don't have the crazy loose tolerances. So your barrel hood is going to fit very, very tightly into the slide. Your lockup, well, it's not here, it's back here, but your lockup with the barrel at the muzzle is going to be tighter. In the locking block, it's going to be tighter. Your trigger components are all going to be oversized and then fitted down, basically wedged together. So treat this like you would an all-metal gun. Think of it as buying a 1911 or a third-gen Smith & Wesson semi-auto. Don't treat this like your typical, cheaply made polymer striker-fired gun. Or treat it like a 2011. How about that? On top of that, it clearly says in the manual, and you should know this already if you own comped or ported pistols, that you must break it in using 124 grain 9mm ammunition. There are these reviewers going out to break in with 115s and look at the camera all bewildered, looking stupid as hell. Shoot 124s, 147s, some plus Ps, and so on. 124 NATO is equivalent to American plus P ammo. Break it in properly and it will work just fine. Get through 150 to 200 rounds of 124 grain NATO and then start playing with 115s. You'll be just fine. If you try to break this in from brand new with 115 grain ammunition, especially because there's always going to be variances in the loads, right? You get like Winchester white box, 115 grain. This is going to be like a Thompson Contender. It's going to be a single shot pistol. You're going to pull that trigger. It's going to go like this. You're going to go, what happened? What happened? Stop being stupid. If you're ever having serious issues with a gun, especially in the first few magazines, go read your book, no matter what brand of gun it is. And if the book ain't telling you, do a little quick research on the internet or good old YouTube. And if that still doesn't yield you any answers, you call the manufacturer and go, hey, I might just be a little bit slow, but my gun ain't working right. And sometimes it could be an issue. Maybe the extractor is too tight. Could be a number of things causing some sort of issues that you're having. But we already know that all Shadow Systems, being more refined, being a match grade barrel, and being tighter tolerance fit, that you're going to have to break it in. Some people want to complain, I shouldn't have to break in a gun. Well, then stop buying good quality guns. You're never going to own a 2011. You're never going to own a high-end custom hand-built 1911. Don't think you're going to buy a $6,000 Wilson Combat Super Grade and pull it out of the box dry as a bone and shoot whatever the hell you want through it rapid fire. It ain't going to work like that. Good shit needs to be broken in. Just like if you want your racing engine to last a good long time, you break it in. You don't go balls to the wall from the very first time you start it up. So, next time you see this gun under my lens, we're going to talk a little bit more, just kind of in generalities about it. Then we're going to go shoot it. But right now, I want to give you some quick size comparisons because that's always really super important. I'm going to raise my camera back up just a wee little bit so I can fit more than one gun into frame comfortably. And we'll see how these compare. All right. The most important, I think, to get out of the way first is the difference between a Glock 19, an MR920, and a Glock 43X, a CR920X. Okay? So, grip length is almost identical. Normally, here is where your slide would end on the 920 or a 43X. And normally here is where the slide would end on a 19. I have comps on both of these. So here's how they compare, comped to comped. The difference really is going to be in the thicknesses, especially in the grip. You're going to feel the thickness of the grip on an MR920, and it gets much, much slimmer on the CR920. It's also very, very flat. There's just a little bit. There's no palm swell here, but it gets a little bit fatter as it gets toward the base. This doesn't. It's very flat and straight. So it's going to feel slimmer. You can see how if I really wrap my fingers around it, I can reach all the way up to my first knuckle here, and I cannot do that here. So there's that. Now, another one that I carry often, P365 XL Spectre Comp. Butt to butt, as all things should be. And you see, because of the compensator, it is going to be longer. Without the compensator, they're the same length in the slide. Grip length is just a little tiny bit longer on the CR920XP. When I have my 17-round extended magazine in here that I always carry with it, the SIG is a little bit longer. They are the same thickness. Now, I also have the Wilson Combat grip module on here. So this has palm swells and all kinds of different stuff to make it a little bit of a fatter grip. But look at the slide and look at the tang, and you see that they are the same thickness. The closest, Palmetto State Armory Dagger Micro C1. C1 meaning it is their compensated longer slide model. So it's basically set up like the Spectre Comp. So you have the expansion chamber with the double ports. Get these here butt to butt. Shadow's only a tiny little bit longer. And again, the thickness is the same. The grip length is almost identical. So carrying these two, virtually identical. Now here's the weird one in the mix, and I absolutely love this gun too. This is the RX Delta. Mine is the Delta X. The Delta M would be like a Glock 19 size. The Delta, oh gee, what's it called for the compact? I don't know. Anyway, they have a compact version, a full-size version, and then they have the X. So the X, as you would expect, is a full-length, full-capacity 17-round grip frame with the shorter, read as compact Glock 19 length slide. That's super, super skinny. When I made the video about this, I said, why are people even buying the P365 Fuse for basically $700 and up when you could buy this for under $400? And they're the ones that started this. The larger or the upscaled micro compact. the super slim but fuller size gun. So as far as the length of the grip, this is a tad bit longer. It's a tad bit longer in the slide and barrel length as well. But in the hand, they're virtually identical, because this is extraordinarily slim for the size of gun that it is. Now, the one weirdo that you've been trying to figure out the entire video, what the hell is that? This began life as my 6-hour P365, the original P365 size. I took the FCU out of it, put it in the Shadow Tech Flex 365 aluminum frame with the palm swell and ergonomic, oh God, grip frame with the grip panels. And then my trigger guard is the big trigger guard that has the gas pedal on it. And then it's the Parker Mountain Machine barrel, Parker Mountain Machine single port micro comp. This is the most effective comp gun that I have, bar none, period. This is a very close second. This gun, it's hard to even tell the damn gun fired. It's so easily controllable. It's wonderful. So, size-wise, we're looking at damn near identical length. The 365 Shadow Tech is just a hair longer. I forgot the name of this slide that I'm using from them, but it has a name. You can go look them up. But with that comp, it's just a little tiny bit longer. Thickness in the slide and the upper portion of the frame is the same, but down here where the grip panels are, it obviously gets fatter because I wanted this to fill my big old hands. And the grip length is much shorter. This is their 12-round compact. They make a larger one, which puts you pretty much at this size grip length, so you can opt for that as well. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this size gun, as it's easy to see. So at some point, we're going to shoot all these and do some back-to-back comparisons. So stay tuned for the future following videos.